going, YouTube? So right now in the clip playing is the last map I did on stream. Now you're about to see a big surprise. This is actually probably the biggest mob I have ever seen in PoE. I don't know why it's so big. I don't know what steroids it took, but it is not legal for a mob to be this big. But on another note is that I was able to do this blight, and you can see that there's 7 layers of rewards at the bottom left. And yeah, this was something that I could never do before, where I could do like 7 layers of rewards at the very end. And it was actually quite surprising, and all it took was a 2 Exalt large cluster jewel. And this large cluster jewel also improves survivability by a ton. So I'm going to go into talking about this large cluster jewel I found out about, and I've always wanted to use it, but I kind of like always been lazy about it. And here you can see I'm doing a ritual. So my theory is that ritual is pretty good, right? So I wanted to try to use a ritual vessel and just fill it up, and then pretty much just try to buy the ritual vessels and use it as a scarab pretty much. Now this method does seem to be pretty good, and the reason why you just can't put the ritual altar on the map device is because we have to put delirium on the map device, right? So that's just a quick little look at some footage of the biggest mob I've ever seen. So in this video we're going to talk about pretty much my build and gear overview, of course, and what upgrades I'm looking for, and then I'm going to go into the large cluster jewel. Then I'll probably play like some clip of some bossing or whatever. I don't really... Oh, I did an Awakener today, Deathless, so for anyone who wants to see more Spark Awakener action, I guess that's what I'll show. Here's the Steam charts. I like to look at this number every now and then just to see like how the league is doing, because a lot of the items for Aura Stacker are kind of non-existent. Like double damage nebulous doesn't really exist. There's a lot of stuff that's just completely missing. But on to the gear overview. Let's see what we have here today. And in the next coming days, there's going to be a lot of upgrades just because I'm finally finished getting the Headhunter. So every single item now will be a big upgrade. And it's slowly but surely, this character will become maxed out just like previous leagues. So this is my ring that I got. And this is the Wrath Aura ring, so this allows me to get an extra gem socket pretty much. And the extra gem socket I use, what was the extra gem socket I even used? But oh yeah, I used Purity of Lightning so I could drop the boots. So right now this pair of boots I can eventually swap into a rare boots, but I lose 5 pierce, right? So losing 5 pierce is pretty bad. So I'm not really sure when I will actually drop these pair of boots. First, I'm going to craft the helm though, because the Alpha's Howl is honestly not the greatest helm in terms of both damage, because you lose 20% multi and you also lose a bunch of energy shield, and energy shield is pretty much everything. I'm at 3.8k ES almost. So getting the helm will put me to like 4.1k I think, and then like empower on the discipline aura should bring me to like 4.4, and at that point I should be satisfied. So the nebulous I didn't change. I did put in some like 3% double damage nebulous, and it's actually a damage loss over 42% crit chance for spells. So this roll is actually pretty good on the nebulous, and it also has some 10% spell damage, right? Because we have, or 20% spell damage. So this nebulous is actually pretty good, and it also has a quality enchant. I might divine it a little bit, but I'm pretty satisfied with this nebulous for now. I could get a 10% double damage nebulous, but I think it probably only comes out to like a 7% damage increase, or 7 to 6% damage increase when I put it into POB, and it's kind of expensive right now. I think a double damage nebulous is like 40 to 50 exalts. But Alpha's Howl, we know the deal. We want to switch to a rare helm. That will be the next upgrade. I will craft it live on stream so everyone can see, and I might even show it on Craft of Exile just to showcase like the different outcomes you can have. Now this amulet is the main piece I bought. I bought this base for 5 to 6 exalts. So this base is pretty much just a synthesized reservation of skills base. So in the, what's it called, the better trading folder, you can see it here, amulet synthesized RMR. And the link for this is in the description. And in order to import this, make sure to copy and paste the, what's it called, the text inside of the URL and not the URL itself. So you can see this runs around like 5x to 6x. Ideally, you want to try to get a higher eye level, like 83ish or 80 plus, so you can get the top ES rolls. So this amulet, I pretty much just use this essence right here called Scorn, and this gives you a T0 crit multi on the amulet. So I could upgrade this to show you, right? So here, it gives you up to 41% multi, and T1 multi on amulets usually only go up to 38%. So 41% here. It's at 43 because I have the critical modifiers on it. So it's actually impossible to buy the catalyst. It's actually just crazy. Buying the catalyst is like by far the hardest content in the game. Trying to get 20 catalysts is harder than doing Awakener in my opinion. But this amulet I used the essence, I got the crit multi, and then I got chaos res on it, and I had another suffix, accuracy. So I nulled off the accuracy, and then I had the chaos res, and I thought to myself, why don't I just multi-mod it? Because the reason why I wanted this amulet was to fix my chaos res, and it was also able to fix my projectile speed. You can see now in my character pane, I have 89% projectile speed. Hello. And the reason I have that is because I prioritize projectile speed on my gear and jewels. So you can see the projectile speed feels pretty good. It's almost like having faster projectiles back in the day. So very, very pog amulet. It costs around 8x or so to upgrade. I don't know if I got lucky on the roll. And this is a good way to fix up your chaos res, right? You get 35% right there. So I also bought this Call of the Brotherhood from Rick Owens for 2 exalts, and this is fire damage to spells and attacks, which activates their Cinder Swallow urn, making the enemies take 8% increased damage. I thought it was 10%. Is there a roll on this now? Oh, there's actually a roll on this. I guess I should probably divine this. I'm not sure. But Prism Guardian, we have... I'm still looking for a Grace Prism Guardian, but... not really sure. The price is kind of extreme. I don't know about 20 exalts. If I was going to spend 20 exalts, I would probably just buy the Call of the Brotherhood ring, because then I could get a good implicit corruption on the Prism Guardian. So then we still have the Headhunter with the crit chance. I do think the strength and dex will be an issue that later on, and it kind of sucks it's low rolled. Now the Hands of the High Temple, a lot of people are asking again, it is not tri-curse. It applies the curse that is at the beginning of the alphabet. And the Void Walkers, we have the same thing here. Flasks are unchanged. So let's go look in the skill tree, because I did make a few changes to some jewels. So we have Might of the Meek. I got Corrupted Blood on Might of the Meek, and this allowed me to drop my other Corrupted Blood jewel. So I switched over to Corrupted Blood jewel to get one with ES, projectile speed, and multi. Before it was just ES and multi. So pretty much what I did was I spent 2.5x to get 8% proj speed, which I feel like is worth it. And it also gave me a better lightning crit multi roll. So then I also bought this Watcher's Eye last night. This Watcher's Eye was around like 10x. So I pretty much just traded out like pen, which I got some pen for my gloves, for some crit chance of hatred. So if you look at Pob right now, my crit chance is pretty good. I think the crit chance for Pob is like 75-78%. With inspiration charges in my hideout with no power charges up. And I do usually have power charges. I have like 64.77% crit. And then with the flask up, it's like 80%. And then if they're on conk ground, it's like 88%, and so on and so forth. So you can see that even with the nerfs to the Diamond Flask Lucky, we can still get almost crit capped with a little bit of investment here and there. Now, like I said, the rest of my jewels are, a lot of the jewels are unideal to medium clusters. I'm running a lot of non-RMR jewels, and this is purely a problem right now, purely because it's hard to get RMR. If you actually look at the amount of jewels for double multi RMR, and you can see it here, there's just none for sale really. There's 3 and they're all offline, so it's actually just kind of unfortunate that none of these jewels exist. And in order to get it with projectile speed is almost impossible. You could probably try to go for 1 RMR and projectile speed like I did on this one, but getting the with double and projectile speed is probably something that you just have to buy out all the jewels and craft yourself. Now another thing I wanted to drop later on was maybe Pure Talent. I don't know how good Pure Talent is. It does waste 1 point, and it's actually, I could get even more projectile speed here. So this is something that I was thinking about maybe dropping later on, but it's still a very good jewel, but could be better, right? So now I also bought this thing here for like 8x. So you can see I bought a lot of upgrades. Like all in all together, I spent like 40x or so on upgrades. So this jewel right here is how we could actually fix our chaos res and ES. So this gives us, I think this actually gives us 30% chaos res right here. So 6 ES, 6 chaos res, and life regen, and then more increased effect. And then this one I already have, and this is another chaos res. So you can see my chaos res with these 2 jewels and the amulet brings me to 40%. With 40%, you're not dying to anything. You're not dying to chaos damage. And the big thing is we need to get our ES pool higher, so that's why making the helmet will be the next step. But basically, I do kind of want to drop self-control sooner or later, but until the price of the double multi-jewels goes down a little bit, or I can snipe up some, I think it's going to be a very hard task. And I still am using this unnatural instinct. I could technically go for a percent ES and projectile speed one and drop some, some ES. But this is actually a really good jewel. It gives you 10% mana, 15% ES, and then it also gives you plus 10 int and 16% LE damage and area of effect. So it's a really good all-around jewel, and it's probably going to be really hard to replace it. But oh yeah, I'm also running this node right here for mana, which is really, really bad. But I just need another RMR jewel, and then I could probably drop this. So a lot of gear upgrades to be had. Most of it is trying to get more RMR jewels. And now we're going to talk about the one large cluster that changed everything. So what we have here coming up is the Alva Temple. Alva Temple is notoriously hard, but what do you notice? Everything is frozen in a radius. Usually this is extremely dangerous to do a tropical island, or just mapping in general is really dangerous. There's a lot of mobs, and without like 5 piers for some of you guys who are running 2 piers, I think this is actually a complete lifesaver. It just makes the entire Alva Temple a complete joke. So you can see how everything is just frozen around me. And what causes this? Well, it's a jewel called Blast Freeze, and it's actually relatively inexpensive. I did get one with disorienting display. And while I'm talking about this, I wanted to go over quickly how you actually figure out how this is split, right? Because you see a large cluster jewel here. It says Blast Freeze, Deep Chill, Disorienting Display. So how do you actually know this jewel is going to have Deep Chill at the top? Well, there's one way of doing it, and it's putting it on POB and creating the jewel, and POB will tell you no matter what. But the easier way is to when you buy it. So I do have the search parameter here. So this is how you actually search it. You want Blast Freeze, and then you want 3 passive notables, so you can spend the least amount of points, and then you put 8 passive skills. And then you put the other one here, which is this Orienting Display. Now what this Orienting Display does is it blinds all the mobs. So it's only 25% increased elemental damage, but the blind is huge for survivability. Blind just makes the enemies more likely to miss you, so it gives you another layer of defense on top of your evasion. So the way you can tell that this Blast Freeze jewel is in the middle, or this one is split well, is that the one in the middle in PoE trade here, like in the second proportion of this, I don't know why it's like this, but the one in the middle will be the one at the top. So it will be the node that you don't take. So for this one, Blast Freeze will not be the node that you can take because it'll be the one at the top. So this one, it will not be able to be taken. So that's why these ones are cheaper. So then you go down here and you see this one is still not the one. This one is still not the one. And this is the first one you see. So this jewel cost me around like 2 exalts. Now the problem with this jewel is that it's pretty low in supply, so by the time some of you watch the video and try to buy it out, it might be 4 exalts, it might be 5, so don't blame me if it's a lot more money, because that's just how stuff is when you share it with other people, right? So you could probably get it for 3.5. So Blast Freeze, Disorienting Display is a huge survivability for mapping. So the way it works is Blast Freeze, your freezes you inflict spread to other enemies in a radius of 12. So basically if you just freeze even one mob, all the other mobs will be frozen. So this helps especially in Blight, like you saw in the beginning of the video when the mobs are going towards the the Blight tower. They're unable to actually move because one mob gets frozen, everything else is frozen. So that is what will actually allow you to complete Blights at the end of the tropical island. It is actually crazy. A lot of people have also told me that the end of the tropical island with 7 layers is probably harder than 100% Delirium, and I pretty much kind of agree. The mobs are absolutely crazy. And in the end, one of the biggest things is Blast Freeze is a huge DPS upgrade. Like, even though it doesn't show up on the tooltip, when you use Blast Freeze, the mobs are frozen, so you don't need to run away and try to kite. So you're able to just stand there and be able to cast in peace, and you can be able to smite and keep your smite up. And I think now is a good time to remind everyone how good smite is, right? Because I think a lot of people underestimate smite, and the smite is the reason why we need to get the helmet, or we need to get another aura. So I'll probably get the other aura first and then get the helmet. So again, quick demonstration, right? 802k. It's actually getting better. It was like 650 before. 802k, smite once, 1.968 mil, up for 6 seconds. So it's actually just absurd. So just make sure to keep up smite always. It is huge. But yeah, that's pretty much the secret to surviving. This will also help you out a lot in doing like maps in general, and pretty much any juice content it will also help out. Later on, I used this thing for what's it called, inscribed ultimatums last league, and it was a huge benefit. There's another thing you can do is if you want to have more damage, you could technically go for Vengeful Commander, but I do think Disoriented Display is pretty big. Because the biggest thing about failing it is you need to be alive, right? So this was Vengeful Commander, Blast Freeze, and 6 Exalts. So 6 Exalts for the other one. The other one's probably going to be anywhere from 2 to 4. So it just depends on whether you want more damage or you want the survivability of blind.
Thought you'd call, but you didn't, so I'm sitting here. Thought I heard my phone ring, but it disappeared. Guess I'm just losing my mind again. I tell myself to breathe in, but the darkness unconcealed, and its mind has got me thinking. Sick and tired of feeling, so sick and tired of dreaming, 'cause I always wake up. Sick and tired of believing that this pain will never end. Oh, I've had enough. Cause it always comes back again, and I'm not even gonna pretend that it's okay. Constantly putting bad thoughts on replay. I really don't like living life this way.
So I ended up showcasing the Spark and Awakener. I know it seems kind of a slow kill, but it really shows you the difference in the arena. Like this arena right here, for instance, has walls, so Spark can bounce back and forth and do damage to it. So you can see how fast this dies. This is a T, like a high level Baran, the highest tier, and it literally just instantly melts. So that's pretty much the difference of why Awakener is so bad versus bosses with a wall. Boss with a wall, you pretty much just get a bunch of sparks that hits back and forth. But when you don't have a wall, the sparks just go infinitely far away and just fizzle out. So just wanted to talk about that. Arena does make a big difference. Sparks damage is not bad if the arena allows it to be. In fact, it's the highest in the game if you can precast the ability, as you can see in that clip right there. But when the arena is bad, it's bad. So if you really struggle with single target, then you could try using Ball Lightning. You can use Crackling Lance. Those skills have very good innate damage that's good regardless of the arena you're in. But hopefully this video has taught you guys a few things about how to actually stay alive. The biggest thing is of course freeze, and that's why ailment immune maps are a no-go. Honestly, if you ever do a 70% chance to avoid, or you've ever delved before, you know action speed cannot be modified, or the ailment immune is death. So it's just like in that, we can use the ailments to our advantage. I know the mobs are always freezing us, they're chilling us, they're igniting us. We can use the same thing back to them and make the mobs suffer since GGG made us suffer, right? But anyhow, make sure to get some blast freeze in your links or in your cluster jewel if you're struggling with any survivability issues. And that can apply to more than just this build, of course. But cold damage is honestly the best defense. The reason why cold is OP is because it freezes and it chills. But if you enjoy the content, be sure to like and subscribe. I will be streaming every day. I did say I was going to get around to doing some logbooks, but doing Tropical Island is just so fun. I will probably do it when I hit like 20 logbooks maybe, or 15. I did do map like all day and I got 0 logbooks. So maybe the drop rate is not fixed. But thanks everyone for watching, and I hope you find more mirrors and exalts than I do, and see you next time.